Good morning. It's Joyful Joynts time. How is everyone today? Good to see you, our live participants. Thank you for being here. Joyful Joynts, it is the end of month number 6, and this is our final session of the month, which means that we are going to be supine on the floor. Our focus this month has been the lower torso. So the pelvis, the hips, the top of the legs, that lower abdominals. And that's our focus for this month. And our theme has been about creating. So we have this lovely saying, you might have seen it in one of our newsletters if you're signed up. Life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. And that creation is an ongoing process, right? Because creation and destruction go together. And just by the nature of living in gravity, our bodies are having a constant destruction. We're constantly breaking things down under the force of gravity, but we can also utilize the forces of gravity to help create structures that are stronger, more resilient, more free-flowing. So that's where we're at. We're going to begin today with our assessment having something to do with this. When we have created this really strong foundation, we built up the energy, the idea would be that we use that to express ourselves in the world. Okay, so think about what's happening. It is currently spring. I happen to live in the Midwest. So right now it's happening, the daffodils have already done it, right? They get excited, they build up all their energy, and then they express it by growing up out of the ground and showing us this beautiful, welcoming yellow flower. So that's really what we're trying to do here is when we have this power and this strength that is deep within, it's the beginning of everything really. It happens in our lower torso. Then we should be able to express ourselves. We'll be able to move around. We'll be able to feel and stretch and turn and reach and do all the things. It's the dance of life. And I love dancing. I actually have been a professional dancer, and my body broke down so much that I couldn't do it anymore. So not to have that expression was tricky. And I had to learn all over again how to find a foundation. It was broken, so I got to recreate it. And I've done that actually several times, maybe not several, but at least a few times, and never destroyed it quite as much as it had been at once. So I encourage you, I'm just telling you that because I want to let you know that there is always, always joy and rebirth to come out of when something has been destroyed, okay? All right, so welcome, welcome. Let's look at our assessments, our things that we're going to reassess today, and they're going to be big and mobile. So number one, I'd like for you to try, if your body will allow, to have a nice deep squat. My heels are staying on the floor, and I'm going straight down. I do not want to tip my body over. That's not a squat. See, I barely bent my knees. I want you to stay standing as best as you can and let those legs, my sits bones are aiming as close to my heels as possible. How low can you go? Ultimately, we want to be able to get all the way down here and have our body be up straight and then to be able to come back up. That's the ultimate. Just to give you an idea, where are you on that scale? Rate yourself. I made it like 2 steps out of 10 to all the way down there. Maybe I'm going to get to 3 the next time. What do you got? The next thing I would like for you to assess and remember is something about rotation. So when we rotate, very often what we notice is there's some discomfort in our low back. That's the most common thing. Excuse me. And then you're going to reach around for your knee on that side. Sorry, I ate a little snack before class today. And then reach around this way. Okay? So this is one of the most challenging places. And when we have a nice, strong, firm foundation, our lower torso working, then to do this will be comfortable. Until then, this can cause some pain and irritation. Okay, so figure that one out. I may have to take a break and get a drink of water. I'm going to do that. Excuse me. It was spicy peanuts, you guys. Mhm. Spicy peanuts right before joyful joints. Let's remember not to do that again. All right, you guys, great. The last thing we can try is touching our toes. So how far toward the ground can you go? Where does it feel restricted? And then on the way up, is it comfortable? Okay, so when our lower torso is working, it'll be a pike from the hips. It puts zero strain on the back. But until that all is working well, that lower torso in conjunction with, that's part of the hip, right? The leg connected to my pelvis is what should be lowering me and lifting me, okay? When that's not working, I tend to use my back. I either stick my booty out too far or I round too much and I can't get anywhere. You see how my lower torso isn't doing much? I'm just reaching with my upper back. Puts a lot of strain on your spine. So, little things to learn in our assessments. All right, let's get to the floor. I've got a focal pointer today, so grab something or use your thumb, a pencil, a pen where you can look at the very tip of it. Remember how to get to the ground. Everybody should remember by now. Hands on or step down onto one knee, second knee. Practice sitting to the side. That could be an assessment in itself too. And then we're going to lay flat on our back with our feet resting on this chair. And in this position, I want to have, I'm scooting in closer. You want to have as close to a 90-degree angle at the hip and at the knee and then the feet. So my entire calf is supported at the level of a fairly close to 90-degree angle. If I was perfect, I'd be here. So just going with what my chair works today. All right, let's become aware of our lower torso on the floor. Excellent. And as we said in the description, when you feel the floor on your back, it gives us feedback. It lets the brain know that the back exists because we don't normally see it, right? Think about how often do you see your back? And a lot of us are really highly visual, and we take in most of our information by what we see. So to feel the back helps to make a connection to the brain, which already makes it feel better. Also, when we lay flat on our back, we put gravity in a way that's going to help us. It's not. This is one of the few positions where your lower torso, the hips, the muscles, the booty muscles and the hip muscles, they actually can relax in this position exclusively. So if you want to just do something good for yourself, just find yourself in this position and stay here for 15 to 20 minutes and just let yourself relax. Indulge in relaxation. And believe it or not, that will help to create a better, healthier, happier spine. Okay, just that alone. So once we're here, let's go ahead and be aware. We know what our sacrum is now, that tailbone triangle, right? The big, big, big triangle. And I want you to rock it from side to side. See if you can make your lower torso rock from side to side so you feel more pressure on the right and then more pressure on the left. So we're using the floor and the effect of gravity to feel heavy and feel the pressure coming from the floor. One side of the pelvis and then the other. And then as you're doing that, why don't you just make a mental note of, I'm not sure I know how to move like that, or yeah, that feels accessible. Because a lot of what happens because we don't see our back is we don't know how to make it move. If I can't see it, how can I move it? That's your proprioceptive awareness system, and sometimes that gets kind of lazy. All right, now pause. If you were to just relax now, I want you to notice, is the right side of your pelvis heavier, or is the left side heavier, or is the pressure balanced right in the center? And if you really just relax everything, including your legs, make sure they're resting. Some people hold tight, let go. There you go. you'll notice where your body tends to naturally fall. And our ultimate goal is that we naturally fall with our pelvis pressure centered. Okay? Super. Next, let's roll up and down. So these are pelvic tilts. We've done these before. You're rolling forward and backward. Yes. With the pelvis tipping backward and forward. But I'm not pushing with my legs. And I'm not going to use my abs to do it, my upper abs. I'm not going to use my back muscles. I'm trying to use the muscles that are exclusively within the pelvis, the lower torso. Beautiful. And you feel that pressure from the floor at the top of the pelvis and then at the bottom. Now, at the bottom is where we often don't go far enough. So keep rolling and rolling and rolling, not putting strain on your back, but you might notice your lower back is getting picked up from the floor. Yes, that's a response to the motion of the pelvis. And then if we go the other direction, if we go too far here, we find ourselves really shoving our lower back into the floor. So notice what that feels like. And then roll all the way again until the lower back gets pulled off the floor. And I want you to do this with that same intensity level rule of joyful joints. Level 3 out of 10 or lower is how hard you're working. Good. And then I want you to just relax again. And notice, is the pressure point on your tailbone more at the top edge of that triangle? Or is it more toward the bottom point? So where do you naturally fall? That gives us some clues, because I'd like for us now to consciously put the pressure point right in the center of that triangular tailbone. Right in the center. And then your job for the rest of our time together is to maintain that pressure point. Got it? Okay. So we're getting suspiciously close to starting our Pilates practice. And we just might next month actually do that. We'll find our way into a Pilates practice utilizing what we've learned in Joyful Joints. Would that be cool with you guys? Why don't you give us some feedback and let us know if you'd like to see something like that. All right. So I'm stable on that part of my tailbone. And now what we're going to do is bring our knees actually to a vertical position. We're going to start working on a little bit of strengthening. And I'd like us to lift one foot up off of our chair. Notice, did your pelvis stay still? Put it back down. Lift the other foot off of the chair. So even for me, when I go to lift up my left foot, my pelvis wants to roll over that side. So I actually am having to do work to stabilize it. Let's keep it's like a little baby marching. One foot and then the other. One foot comes up and then the other. Good. Now try to stay soft and restful in your upper torso. There you go. Sometimes our ribs pop up and flare out, and then that pulls our back off the floor again. I want you to soften your upper torso so you can feel like more of your back is on the ground. But we're also focused on, let's stay on that lower torso. Yes. Now, let's say we've got it. Everybody got it? Okay, yes, I heard you. One foot comes up. What if we pick up the second foot at the same time? Can you keep the pressure on that center of your sacrum, not let your upper part flare out so your back popped off the ground? Push that back down. And you might notice now there's some work going on. We're working the front of our thighs, maybe. Maybe you're working your lower abdominals. Maybe you're working your upper abdominals to keep that from flopping out. Good. And then go ahead and put one foot at a time back down. Good job. Now, after just that very simple work, what happens if you try rocking your pelvis again? Up and down, side to side. Take your time. Anybody notice that it's now more accessible? Remember I asked you to make a note of like, how easy is this for you? Because what I notice is sometimes just that little bit of work connects people to the pelvis, and now somehow we better understand how to rock it from side to side, or to rock it forward and backward, or it feels smoother. Okay? That's a signal that your brain is connecting better to that area of the body, and that is always a good thing. All right. Super job, everybody. All right. Next one. I'd like for us to take our left leg, actually let's take both legs. Both legs and draw them in to your belly. Okay? So your hands are on top of your shins. And we're letting our thighs come close in. Now, once you've done that, let's go back to our awareness of the pressure on our tailbone. How many of us, the pressure on the tailbone came off and it went into the lower back? Yeah, that's very, very common. I want you to get out of your lower back, get back down on that pelvic pressure point. Notice some of you may not be able to bring your legs all the way in. They might stop, and you might start to feel pinchy at the front of your hip. That's also normal. These muscles are overworked, they're overtense, which means they're also radically inflexible. So once I stay on my sacrum, then I'm going to try to pull my knees in. Aha. It's a different sensation. And we have to be careful again, mindful not to flare out this lower part of our ribs. Relax and soften your chest. Keep the pressure point on the tailbone. Now, let's do an exercise to see if we can gain some mobility in our hip compression. So hands here on the front of your knees. I want you to try to push your knees up to the ceiling. So I'm trying to unfold my legs. My arms are giving resistance. And I'm pushing pretty hard. I'm actually beyond the level 3 intensity right now. I'm going to work this pretty hard. Soften your chest. Good. Stay on that pressure point on your sacrum, on your tailbone. And now relax that and see if your legs will fold in any deeper. For those of you who are saying, my belly is in the way, open your legs a little bit, and I want you to soften the abdomen. Soften it. The opposite of softening is what? Pushing your belly out toward your legs. Yeah, now your belly is in the way, and we're using the wrong pressure, and you're going to send your blood pressure through the roof. So soften your belly. Calm down. There we go. And then see what we get. Okay? So that's one thing we can do to increase mobility. A next one is bring your knees back up a little. Put your hands, they're fists, and I'm putting them together. And I'm putting my hands between my knees. And we're going to stay on our sacrum point, soften the chest, and squeeze your legs in against your hands. My hands are together, they're getting squished. And my legs are trying to squeeze together. And some of you might be screaming because your inner thighs are kind of cramping. They don't even know how to do this, maybe. Yeah. And then if I rotate my feet apart from each other, I'm turning my legs inward so my feet go apart. And I'm still squeezing. And again, some of you are like, what the heck? Yeah, it's okay. Keep trying. You'll get there. Use it as an assessment. If it's really bad, go, that's something I could stand to improve upon. And hold that for 4, 3, 2, and then relax. Grab those legs. See if they compress any easier now. Mine just went like way more relaxed into my body. Let's rest our legs back up on our chair or our couch or whatever it is you're using. And let's reassess. Rock it and rolling. Rock it and rolling. And then side to side. So different things that you notice. That hint of low back discomfort that I felt is gone. I feel like the pressure point on my tailbone, where it was really centered before, it's now flattened out. Like it's expanded. So I feel more of my tailbone on the floor. What about you? Notice it for yourself. Say it out loud for yourself so it means something. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is take one of those legs, that little compression that we had on one of those legs, stabilize it, bring it in. Now, when you brought in one leg, did your pressure point change? Yeah, I got to put it back. Okay, see if you can hold on to this leg, keep that pressure point. Take your second leg and stretch it up to the ceiling. Yes, it may or may not go that high, but I want you to do the best you can while maintaining that spot on your pelvis. And then I want you to imagine, we're going to point our foot. What if your toes were like a Sharpie? And we're going to draw some circles on the ceiling. Yes, this is leg circles. And yes, we are well on our way to doing some mat Pilates work here. This is the foundation for the curriculum that is called Pilates. Now, if you are successfully staying on that pressure point of your sacrum, it's not rocking, you can make a bigger Sharpie circle. You can make a bigger circle with that leg. And again, some of you might be screaming because the muscles at the top of your leg are cramping or they're working so hard. That's really good. We need them to be strong. They're telling us like, dude, this is hard. You're like, yeah, come on. Let's get stronger. Love it. Awesome. And let's relax. Flop it out there. Give them a pat. Say thank you, thank you, thank you for working. Let's do the other side. Hug that leg into the body. What do we do first? Maintain the sacrum positioning. So in this case, sometimes it'll twist like a dial. When we bring up one leg, sometimes there's that sideways rotation. We want to stabilize the dial as well. Are there any products now that we use a dial? Because most of them are digital, right? We just bump the number up and down. Not a lot of dials in the world anymore. Okay, take your other leg and extend it to the ceiling. Excellent. So again, the best you can do is straightening it, but stay. The important thing is keep your sacrum, soften the chest. There you go. And then point those toes to the ceiling. There's your Sharpie. Let's draw circles on the ceiling. Let's keep it small at first because we got to pay attention. I'm paying attention to keeping the pressure point of my sacrum on the floor. When I find out that I'm successful, I can make a little bit bigger circle. You might also think about that leg being connected to the sky, like something is pulling it upward. And what that does, if your sacrum is stable and your leg gets pulled, it creates space in the hip socket, which is really a good thing. We don't want to have jammed up hips. We want to have free to move, free to express. There you go. And it requires both strength of stability of the pelvis and then strength of the movers. So one of my moving muscles just started screaming at me, apparently. You guys are helping me again, thanks. Okay, and relax. Woo! Very good. Rest those feet. Let's rock and roll. Up and down, side to side. How are you doing? Everybody finding their way through this okay? All right. Super job, you guys. So let's play one more game. Let's play one more game of stability. This is one we have not done. We're going to work on the backs of the legs a bit. So you're going to put the back of your heels on whatever this surface is that you're using, okay? Stabilizing my pressure point. And then I want you to push down with your heels. Squish your heels down into your chair, your couch, whatever it is, but don't let the pressure point of your pelvis change. And then relax. So what commonly happens when we say push down with your heels is we squeeze our booty and we tuck our tail up, and now I've shoved all of my weight, all the pressure into my lower back again. Okay? Relax that. Stay here. Try to pull those heels down through. What we notice is it will activate more the hamstrings. So let's everybody do the wrong way. Squeeze your butt really tight and curl your tail up, stretch into your lower back. This is what we don't want to do, even though some of you are out there saying, but that feels so good. It's not going to feel good for long. It's a reflexive feel good that puts pressure on the lower back, okay? I'm not saying we're never going to do that motion again, but a lot of us who are drawn to this practice have a lot of hypermobility, and we flatten our back way too much in life, okay? Most of our chairs, couches, car seats flatten our back, and we need to regain a curve. So that's why we're focused on pressure on the sacrum, pull down with the feet. Now, ready, overachievers, pay attention. Let's feel our upper torso, the shoulder blades on the floor. Let's keep energizing our feet down until we actually lift up the entire sacrum. So I now have a little space underneath my sacrum, but I still didn't let it tip forward or backward. Now put it back down on the floor, okay? So again, my sacrum is level, the whole level thing comes up, the whole level thing comes down. It does not roll. We're not articulating the spine. That is done, that is an exercise, not what we're doing though. Here we are, plant, make sure you're active. My pelvis is stable. If I press enough into my upper torso, I can float my pelvis off the floor. And I'm getting a lot of work all the way down the back of my legs. And I can press my shoulders back and my arms on the floor. And it feels really nice. And I'm all relaxed here. I didn't pop my ribs up in the air. Come back down. Woo! And shake those legs out. So I'm going to guess that a number of us found crampy hamstrings on that exercise because, well, if you haven't used them like that for a very long time, and a lot of people haven't, they scream at you the first time you ask. All right, so that's fun, and that is like making our way into what we're going to be calling, well, in our Pilates, it's a bridge, okay? Should we do one more? Let's try one more. Flex the feet, press, and float. Good. Make sure the lower ribs are coming up with you. And if you keep going and keep going and keep going, all I'm doing is opening the angle of my hips. And ideally, I'd like for that to get completely open, but it may or may not. And then we come down. Again, it's like a drawbridge. My spine is maintaining a shape. My torso is solid. So this is an effort, a work here at the level of my hips, which is my lower torso. Nice job, you guys. All right, so what happens? Let's recheck. Pick up one leg, pick up the other. Is it easier to hold them there while still on the pressure point of your sacrum? Interesting. Yeah, it's a lot easier for me. Yay, I hope it's easier for you guys too. That means we have successfully turned on some of the muscles in our lower torso that we call our deep core abs, okay? All right, let's go ahead and make our way to standing and recheck our initial stuff. So I like to fold in, remember, roll to your side. Very good. And then I'm going to go ahead and just use my body. I want to practice getting up onto my knees, taking a step, and away we go. All right, super job, everybody. We had our focal pointer, we didn't even use it. Oh well. Okay, you ready? It's one of those days, guys. It's one of those days. We had 3 things we were checking. Number 1 was our squat. Remember? How's that? If you made it to 2 before, did you make it to 3 or 4? Was it easier to squat? Okay, give it a number. What about rotations? And then we had that rotation where we were reaching down. So my improvement is I'm not coughing as I'm rechecking. Okay, very nice. That feels good. And then the last one was touching toes. Good. So the cool thing is, guys, when we get the functionality and strength in our hips appropriately, then it becomes safe to add in the articulation of the spine. See how that works together? So the pelvis works, and then we can add the articulation of the spine because we have the strength and support below to keep the spine working only at the level it is designed for or ready for. So that's how this all comes together. This foundational component, make it strong, and then we can go out and, like we said, express ourselves and dance and enjoy the world that is out there just waiting for us. All right, you guys are amazing. Please keep sending us your comments and your feedback. Sign up, ask your friends to subscribe. Our subscriber numbers are going up, which is super exciting. And I just hope that we can keep sharing all this information. And I can't wait, you know, out in the world, you'll see people who are practicing and who are able to express themselves freely. And then you'll see people who are not feeling so good and trying to express, but it just isn't coming across the way they would like for it to. So keep practicing, keep being authentic, and we look forward to seeing you guys next time. Ciao.